The Weight of Being Human. A Dark Human Story. Part I. The Breath Before the Fall. No one teaches you how heavy it is to be human. They teach you how to speak, how to smile, how to pretend. But no one tells you about the weight. The weight sits behind the eyes. It presses on the chest at night. It whispers when the room is silent and screams when it is. Elias learned that weight early. He was 8 years old when he realized that adults lie without moving their lips. Not the big lies, those were obvious, the small ones were worse. Everything will be okay. I'm proud of you. This pain has a reason. Elias watched people say those words the way priests recited prayers they no longer believed in. And something inside him went quiet. The first crack. Elias lived in a city that smelled like metal and wet concrete. The kind of city that never slept because it was afraid of dreaming. His mother worked nights. His father worked anger. The apartment walls were thin, thin enough for words to bleed through them, thin enough for silence to feel loud. On the night Elias learned fear had a sound, his father didn't shout. That was the strange part. He spoke calmly. Calm voices were always more dangerous. You think you're better than me? His father asked, sitting at the kitchen table, fingers wrapped around a glass that smelled like regret. Elias stood frozen in the hallway. He hadn't thought anything like that. He was thinking about homework, about how the numbers didn't make sense, about how tired his mother looked lately. But his father didn't need truth. He needed a target. I didn't say anything, Elias whispered. Silence stretched. Then the glass shattered against the wall. That was the night Elias learned another lesson. Words didn't need to be spoken to cause damage. 2. Observing the monsters. By 12, Elias stopped crying. Crying wasted energy. Instead, he watched. He watched how people flinched before they were hit, how smiles formed a second too late, how laughter sounded different when it was forced. He noticed patterns. Anger followed fear. Cruelty followed shame. Kindness was usually a disguise. Teachers praised him for being quiet and mature. They didn't realize he wasn't mature. He was cautious. Cautious humans survive longer. 3. The Lie of Normal. In high school, Elias learned how to blend in. He learned when to nod, when to laugh, when to stay silent. Normal was a performance and he became good at it, too good. At night he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling something press against his ribs. Not pain, not sadness, something heavier, existence. He wondered if everyone felt this way and simply pretended better, or if something in him was broken. He never asked. Asking meant hoping. Hope was dangerous. 4. The first violence. It happened in a parking garage. It was raining. It was always raining when things went wrong. A man cornered a woman between two cars. His voice was low, insistent, familiar. Elias stood 20 feet away, frozen again like he was 8 years old in the hallway. This time no glass shattered, just words. The woman's eyes met his, not pleading, expectant. And something inside Elias snapped, not loudly, not dramatically. It simply gave way. He walked forward. His voice surprised even him. Hey. The man turned, smiled. Mind your business. Elias didn't argue. He stepped closer and drove his fist into the man's throat. The sound the body made when it hit the concrete stayed with him for years. Afterward, Elias didn't feel heroic. He felt empty. The woman ran. The man gasped. And Elias stood there shaking, not from fear, from clarity. Violence wasn't loud in his mind. It was quiet, precise. 5. Understanding the dark. That night, Elias didn't sleep. He sat on the edge of his bed, hands still trembling, heart steady. He replayed the moment again and again. Not the punch, the feeling before it. Calm, that terrified him. Humans weren't supposed to feel calm during violence, weren't they? He went to the bathroom and stared at his reflection. Same face, same eyes, but something had shifted. The weight behind his eyes felt organized, as if it had been waiting for instructions. 6. What makes a monster? People think monsters are born screaming. They're wrong. Monsters are born listening. They are shaped by what they are forced to carry. Elias didn't want to hurt people. He simply stopped believing pain was sacred. Pain was currency, and everyone paid eventually. 7. The city talks back. By his mid-20s, Elias worked nights in a warehouse. The city spoke to him then, through flickering streetlights and distant sirens. He saw patterns others missed. Who walked with confidence and who borrowed it. Who carried guilt in their shoulders. Who deserved fear. He never planned to become anything. He just responded. One moment at a time, a shove here, a broken arm there. A man who never followed someone into a parking garage again. The city didn't thank him. Cities never do. But the weight inside him shifted, redistributed. Purpose is a strange anesthetic. 8. The mirror breaks. One night after a confrontation that left blood on his knuckles, Elias washed his hands in a public bathroom. The water ran red, then clear. He looked up and smiled. That was the moment he understood the truth. He didn't hate what he was becoming. He hated how human it felt. 9. The question no one asks. Every dark human story begins with a question. If the world is cruel, is responding with cruelty justice or honesty? Elias didn't have an answer. He only had momentum. And momentum, once it starts, doesn't care about morality. It only cares about direction. 10. The beginning of the end. Outside, the city breathed. Inside, Elias stepped back into the night.